Hey, what's up guys? It's Apache here, and today I wanted to share with you guys some games that are coming up mostly in 2020, but some of them may be later in 2021, as I know a lot of release dates are up in the air right now due to what's going on around the world. These are all games that I'm excited for, and I'll be checking out on release, so I hope you guys can find something in here that interests you as well. But without any further ado, let's just get right into the list. So coming up first, we have a game called Ready or Not, which from their website is said to be a realistic tactical first-person shooter set against a backdrop of political and economic instability in the United States. You are placed in the boots of a judge, an elite SWAT commander being tasked with defusing tense, hostile situations in a morally bankrupt city. This game looks to be very strategic, as you will lead a squad of AI SWAT members into these situations and have to evaluate and make decisions on the fly about how to get control of them. It also incorporates a planning system where you strategize how exactly you want to handle this mission beforehand, and also allows you to choose what type of personnel and equipment you might want to take into the mission. You could, for instance, choose to include a sniper team to provide support from a nearby rooftop, or possibly just go the classic route of ballistic shields, or maybe even send in a team of negotiators to try to talk through the situation. There seems to be many different approaches to the same situation, lending itself to good replayability. It also boasts a multiplayer mode as well, and although it's unclear if it's going to be the same type gameplay as the single player experience, the website says that you can battle a rogue organization in a fierce and competitive multiplayer environment. Ready or Not is currently set to release in Q4 of 2020, with the beta coming out in June if you pre-order the game. Currently set at a price tag of $40 US, but it increases $10 every so often until it gets to its full value of $60 as the game's release date creeps closer. Next up is Grounded. Grounded is an early access adventure survival game with RPG elements that looks a bit like the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, because you have been shrunk down to the size of an ant. Now, I know a lot of people are turned off by the term early access, and personally I understand it, and I am too sometimes, but this game actually looks somewhat promising, but we'll have to see how it turns out whenever it actually releases. This game's description on Steam says that you can explore, build, and survive together in this first-person multiplayer survival adventure. Can you thrive alongside the hordes of giant insects fighting to survive the perils of the backyard? So this game boasts base building that actually looks pretty in-depth and unique due to being able to build things out of things like bug parts and other items that you probably wouldn't directly associate with base building, or at least I wouldn't. The game and the graphics look really nice too, and handcrafted, and really drew me in before seeing the concept of the game itself. And it looks like the main focus of the story is to restore the machine that can bring you back to full size so you can return to your prior life, and I'm very excited for this one. You might even be able to catch me streaming this game or recording some videos on it when it's released, which is currently set for July 28th. Now let's take a look at Crimson Desert, a new fantasy MMORPG IP coming from Pearl Abyss, the same developers that brought us Black Desert Online. Now this game I'm specifically excited for because the footage that I've seen so far really reminds me of Elder Scrolls and The Witcher combined, and with the release date of Elder Scrolls 6 still hanging out somewhere in the abyss of Bethesda Studios, I'm looking at this game to scratch that particular itch, as well as indulging me in another one of my favorite forms of games, as it is an MMO. The game will have dragons and giant snakes to fight, as well as a world teeming with mercenaries and bandits that I'm very excited to explore, and maybe this game will even let me go on huge stealing sprees like I would back in Skyrim. Now while this game is set in the universe of Black Desert Online, gameplay is said to be entirely different than what you would experience in that game. The game has a more of a grab a sword and slash your way through various baddies, while Black Desert has more of a magical abilities based combat system, so I'm excited to see the similarities and the differences between these two titles. You play as the leader of a group of mercenaries in the world of Pywell, with mythical creatures teeming about that are neither friend nor foe, cruel mercenaries vying for blood, and powerful figures conspiring in the shadows of the royal court, says the development team. This game, while an MMO, says it has a single player campaign as well, plus the vast amount of content based around a more traditional MMORPG format, so I'm intrigued to see how these two fuse together. This game has no official release date yet, but it's set to have a beta test sometime in 2020, so keep your eyes peeled out for that one. Speaking of The Witcher, this wouldn't be a proper list of games to be excited for this year without mentioning CD Projekt Red's upcoming open-world science fiction RPG CyberPunk 2077. Now I'm sure that the majority of people watching this video have heard about this game because this is probably one of the biggest games coming out this year, if not the biggest, and has already built up tons of hype all over the internet, but if you haven't, I mean, what are you doing? Now I could make a whole separate video about everything we know about this game so far, but I'll just give you a very brief rundown of some of the story elements and game mechanics we know about so far. First off, CyberPunk 2077 is based in a dystopian city based in California called Night City, where you play as a mercenary named V on the quest to get a chip that grants the user immortality. There will be drivable vehicles, many different approaches to the game such as playing through entirely non-lethal or talking your way through things, as well as multiple endings that lend itself to replayability, and an extensive character creation window, even offering to change the protagonist's voice between the two options of voice actors who recorded audio for this game. Overall, there's a lot to say about this game, and I know this description was very brief and only scratched the surface, so if you want me to make a more in-depth video specifically about this game, let me know in the comments below, as I would be very happy to do so. But either way, I'm sure this is a game you're going to want to keep on your radar if you're looking for new games to play this year. It's currently scheduled to release September 17th, and even amidst all the stuff going on around the world right now, CD Projekt Red said recently they think they can still finish it by this time, so keep tuned on this one. The next game on this list, weirdly enough, comes from Amazon, and it's called New World. You heard that right, Amazon Game Studios to be exact. Amazon has expanded itself in developing video games, it seems, and have been working on this game for 3 years, so I'm very curious to see how this first IP turns out. This game is a buy-to-play as opposed to subscription-based open-world MMORPG set on the fictional, alternate history and supernatural island of Eternum. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's how I read it. In the 17th century, the game is focused around this force known as the Corruption that has overridden this island, and it is your job to fight to rid the area of this corruption and take back the island on your 1,000-person cap server. The developers of this game said that the gameplay has been directly influenced by Dark Souls, so that sounds like an interesting take on MMO combat, and I think you should expect fast-paced action combat as opposed to a more traditional tab targeting system. They also claim this game is classless, so you're free to use whatever weapon you may have, whether it be a melee-based weapon, a ranged weapon, or a magical-based weapon. It boasts both PvP and PvE, with the PvP based around this player-claimed territory system where you join a player's company, which seems to be like factions and control many different aspects of the area they claim, from setting taxes to upgrading defenses. These player companies can then declare war on other player companies and go into an objective capture the point PvP style game mode, see who will hold and control that point following the battle. It also has a PvE system based around open world events, bosses, and quests as opposed to dungeons and raids like traditional MMORPGs. This is another game that I could talk about a lot because I'm very interested in it, but I'm going to keep it brief today. But if you're interested, it has already had a closed alpha testing period that ran from October 2018 to June 2019, and they are releasing a closed beta next month in June, with the full release set for August 25th, 2020 at a price of $40 US. So that concludes my list for today, but I want to know which of these games piqued you guys' fancy, and which, if any, you'll be looking to play on release. Personally, I think I'm really excited to try out New World because I'm just a huge sucker for MMOs and it just looks really cool, as well as Crimson Desert. That one looks really cool as well. If you guys made it this far, I appreciate it a lot and would really appreciate any support or criticism you could leave on this video or channel. But with that, I wish you guys a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys later. Peace.